righty, Kaelan Cheatam, thanks for being here. Thanks for meeting with me. For those who don't know the best lender in San Antonio and surrounding areas, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Kaelan Cheatam. I'm a lender at Pilgrim Mortgage and been doing it now for about 4.5 years. And I got into it because my family is the owners of Pilgrim Mortgage, and so I was a little bit easily persuaded. But yeah, I met Taylor probably 2 years ago through a mutual connection. Shout out to Brian.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's been great, like getting to work with each other and go through like good times, hard times, everything together, and just kind of growing together along with it and doing stuff like this.
for sure. No, it's a blessing, and yeah, like you said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I feel like we've seen it all in a short amount of time. But with that being said, just wanted to ask a few questions to give insight from a professional who's heavily in the field and the market, and see your side of things, and then just bounce stuff off each other if that works.
Yes, let's do it.
First thing is just, can you give me and anyone that would be interested or listening or looking to buy specifically, just a general overview of what you're seeing in the current market? Because everyone's like, the market sucks, which yes, we understand what it is. I think there's ways to overcome it, but just, yeah, if you could give a general synopsis of what you're seeing in the market on your side of things.
Yeah, so the market for us is definitely we can go back, like especially high COVID pandemic, it is definitely, we know, not the same. Interest rates are higher, of course, than they were, so that's obviously causing a lot of buyers to have fear, and everything we know in social media and the media is going to be fear, high interest rates, people are getting out of the industry, yada yada yada. But I think like with every cycle and everything is an opportunity. So yes, there was opportunity, a few years ago, whenever the rates were in the 2s, 3s, you had an opportunity with that. But then there's still an opportunity right now, even though rates are, 7s, even pushing 8s right now. The good news is with that, though, is that still with home prices, everything, it all comes to, of course, still supply and demand. A little fun fact, me and Taylor were talking about it before, is that shoot, I need to pause because I totally lost where my notes were.
A few moments later.
Okay, and so the main thing that people want to compare everything to is, of course, is 2007. But a main difference with that is in 2007, there was 4 million homes for sale with a population of 301 million. Well, fast forward to today, there's 1.1 million homes for sale and a population of 335 million. And so there's way more supply than demand. And so no, definitely don't see anything with all the news about, housing crash or anything like that. It's still forecasted this year for appreciation to still be about like 6.8% or so. And then not only that, of course, we all know lending guidelines have changed. So you used to not have to put anything down, low credit score. Basically, I don't even know if they really cared you had a job or not. You could get a house. And so right now, lending guidelines are so strict, and we make sure that you are well qualified to get that house. I did also want to share, where was it? I want to talk about how much equity people have in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know, just crazy, but
yes. And then I'll say one thing right now that we're also, utilizing, even though interest rates are higher, but the average equity in a home right now is $249,000. And so yes, I know a lot of people are so like, I don't want to give up my 2%, 3% interest rate, but also credit cards are at an all-time high as well with 25%. And so we also like to talk with like our clients too, of like, let's look at all of your debts, all of your high interest debts. Let's do like a blended rate and actually show you what your interest rate overall is. And so I think right now there's an opportunity in the market. I know probably on your side too, Taylor, you're still seeing like being able to get closing cost paid for. You're able to even do, fixed rate buy downs, temporary buy downs. And I think that is an absolute awesome strategy to take advantage of now before rates do, like they say, predicted to come down next year. There's elections, so maybe even like Q1 of 2025, and take a little bit higher interest rate right now, but then gain that equity and make that money before next year when everybody's fighting for the same house.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, all good points. I like the credit card because it'll be oh, I don't want to pay for a house with 8% interest, but I will happily get a Chase Sapphire card at 25% interest. And it's like, I mean, yeah, and not pay it off in time, anything like that too. So
Right,
yeah, a lot of credit card debt, a lot of that's what we're seeing too. But yeah, in every market there's opportunity. I try to tell people there's smaller niche opportunity in this one, as far as like, okay, yeah, on the sell side they're having trouble finding buyers, because if you want to go the traditional route with just getting your loan at your 7.5%, 8%, whatever it is now, it's tough because no one wants to pay that, obviously. But you're right, we try to talk about as much as possible buy downs, asking the seller for a seller credit or seller concessions to be able to do that, so you're literally not coming out of pocket at all to buy your interest rate down. Like, I try to tell people, make it like easy in one sentence. I'm like, use the seller's money towards your own closing costs that could help you go from a 7.5 rate to maybe even a 6.5-ish rate, give or take. And so I'm like, why don't you do that? And there's all the other things, like, the assumption of a loan, the seller finance, which, is a whole nother topic. But there's just ways to do it. And yeah, in this market, I see that's a lot of my buyers are, our age. They're the 25 to 35 range, getting out of the apartments and starting to purchase homes.
I locked a rate the other day at a flat fixed 5% rate, because it was, again, just like, instead of that, purchase price coming down, they used all those seller credits straight to the interest rate. And then even with like a 2-1 buy down, and I guess we can also explain how that works if people don't know. Yeah, like the going market rate, for example, is a 7.5. Well, your first year, your interest rate's going to be a 5.5, second year 6.5, and third year 7.5, or third through the 30th year, it would be that fixed 7.5, and it wouldn't go higher than that. But as the buyer, you're not allowed to pay for it. And so the seller's pretty much paying that prepaid interest for you. But what's good is, we're expecting and listening to all the economists, that you're most likely going to refinance before you even hit that third year interest rate. And so any remaining money left over, because all that money is still yours, is going to get applied straight to your principal reduction. And so whenever you do refinance again, and you have a few closing costs, few title fees, etc. And so you can roll that into your loan amount. And then that pretty much is helping cover that closing cost for you if you decide to roll it in. So I think it's an absolute fabulous strategy that be taken advantage of.
Yeah, exactly.
That needs to come out.
Yeah, it sounds like from all this, like a one sentence summary is like, the sellers will, in the right opportunity, the sellers will literally pay to lower your interest rate. Like, why not take advantage of that? And then, yeah, obviously the 2-1 buy downs, you can get creative with it and everything, but it's like, the sellers in this market are able to, contribute towards lowering your interest rate. Like, why not? So
yeah, it's like, would you rather take a purchase price of 400,000, get your closing costs paid for, probably even use some of that for a rate buy down, and then next year, say even interest rates drop a point, but then you have everyone coming off the fence, because a point can be a big deal for a lot of affordability for people.
Oh yeah.
And them coming off the fence, okay, that house that was 400 is now what, 425, 430, save, and you go into 2025, say that house goes to 450. Well, you bought it at 400 and you just gained $50,000 right there. That whenever you refinance as well, that's going to help. And so it's almost just like, would you, it's up to you kind of, will you take a little bit higher interest rate for 12 months to gain what, $30,000 to $50,000?
Yeah, exactly. And then you're paying down, obviously most of it's interest too, but you're still paying down in the next 2 years too. Some of that, and gaining that equity. And so, and the other thing too is, on top of that, and not many people know this, but your interest on your home and your mortgage is a tax write-off. Right off that. So like, oh my gosh, the 8%, like, if you're smart with it, it's a tax write-off. And then you do your whole homestead exemption, so that saves on your taxes even more, and whole nother dang 20-minute video that could be done. But
that's our next question.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, why? Yeah, I just try to tell people, it's the example of like 2 years ago, a $300,000 house, which was kind of close to what the average was around here. It would, a good condition, good location would probably end up selling for 325, 330, 340-ish. In
Mhm.
today's market, you can negotiate getting a $300,000 house for, I don't know, 285, 290, plus some seller credit, plus
Mhm.
sellers are probably just willing to do a little more, depending on their motivation to get it
Right.
sold. So yeah, take that, and then you'll see, like you said, the next 2 or 3 years, yes, you're growing a little equity at a time, but the appreciation is going to happen. So you got the house at a discount, plus you built equity, plus the appreciation, even more
Mhm.
equity.
The
And then
man will drive it up.
yeah, and then yeah, exactly. And then by that time, the equity and appreciation is being driven up because the interest rates have probably fallen. So boom, you can refinance, you can cash out refinance and use that towards another property.
Right.
So yeah, I had a guy text me. He's really successful business owner, and he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to look at getting into something now because now's the time to buy." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, you should tell all the other people out there that are scared and waiting, like, why." And so
Mhm.
while we're doing the video too, but
Right. And that's why I just want to like, even if someone's like, I had a girl that messaged me on Instagram in like March, and she was like, I've been following your stuff. As she's like, I just don't think I can personally buy right now. But whenever I do, definitely want to, use you, whatever. Well, she still decided to like let me still do the application, let me talk to her on the phone.
mhm,
And once we did that, she did qualify. Everything looked great. And
mhm,
then she actually ended up finding a house in the exact neighborhood that she wanted. And so it helped because like at least having the conversation and then seeing the numbers and how it can work. Like when that opportunity arose, she was able to seize it, get her closing costs paid for. And so it was something that she thought she wasn't going to buy for another year to 4 months or so. And so I think that's just like the conversations I like to have with people is just have the conversation with us.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So with that being said, my next question was, and we can keep this part brief because we kind of went into it, but just the future market predictions, like what are you hearing from professionals? Because it's one thing to be like, oh, I think, and some random person on the street says, oh, this time, this is what's going to happen. And in 2 years, interest rates are going to be at this. It's like no one can predict. No one predicted COVID. Like,
Mhm.
so what do you see within the next 1 to maybe up to 5 years ish?
Yeah. I feel like I gotta say the saying that my boss kept saying. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so my boss went to a mortgage banker association in Philadelphia, and their whole thing was stay alive till 25. And I was like, yeah, I see that. So I think a lot of them still think next year, 2024, even at the beginning, it's gonna still be tough. I
Uh-huh.
still think rates will probably stay kind of where they are right now, but especially with election year, see how that's going to go.
Yeah.
But they're more predicting hopefully like into 2025 is when it starts to probably go into the fives or so. I mean, I'm hoping next year maybe we could at least get into the sixes. That'd be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Which, going back to our point, would be a great, yeah, get in now, and that means within 2 years you can refi into something in the fives, or even now, like refining into the sixes would be a win. Consider it a win.
Right. Right. So
Um,
that's hopefully yeah, so that's kind of what he was saying that everybody was saying too. And of course we always follow like Barry Reed and all the economists, and we're
right.
just gonna hold out and do all the right I don't know, I just think it has to, I mean, of course like each buyer is different, but I mean I
Mhm.
think if it makes sense, you can do it, you can get a good opportunity right now, then you should seize that opportunity
For
before
sure.
the
Yep,
next
yep.
year or two.
But it's the same thing with stocks too. I tell people like buy low, sell high. Like, yeah, the rates are one thing, but like if you buy low, sell high, then um
Mhm.
then there's opportunity there. Like you
Yeah.
said. So yeah, next question. I'm always curious, and I always try to like pick from other people too, especially like on the real estate, like the realtor side of things. But I think it's generally across the board for anyone that's like commission only job or driven by their sales numbers. Is what do you do as far as marketing and lead generation, and then how have you grown your book of business from
Yeah.
first starting out until now, and then in the future too?
So I'm a really big relationship person, and I know that's totally basic, but I really am. I feel like this year has also, especially even though yes, it's interest rates are higher, it's not as say as many buyers, but it's given me an opportunity though to while a lot of lenders are getting out to connect and really figure out how I can keep adding more value to bigger whale realtors, bigger teams. I'm connecting with a lot more still builders right now, and so one relationships, and even when our market is tough and stuff like this, I'm still constantly like the other day how I did the mind over market lunch and learn, like I constantly just try to keep pouring into your realtors nonstop, just to like, what do you need from me as a lender, what do we need to do, how can I help? So constantly doing stuff like that. My social media, I try to do videos too, because I feel like people are window shopping you when they're looking at your social media, and so I try to sometimes just do things on the spot in the car, make it relatable, make it a story. I think people like to hear a client success story that they could maybe relate to, or they thought maybe the same thing that they were. So I try to do stuff like that. And of course, just like, what does my post closing client experience look like? And so still doing phone calls with them, still doing gifts. We have monthly reports that go out to all of our past clients, appreciation events. Holiday cards are coming, so we're working on that. But I think those are all things that just like, you want everybody to know, like when they hear your name, Taylor or Kaelan, like, oh, Kaelan's a mortgage lender. Like they know exactly what you do without even like even having to really ask you. They already kind of know who you are.
Right.
But I just always want to be like still top of mind of people. And then I think just giving relatable stories and doing relatable stuff on social media and people share it and stuff like that is what's been working.
Cool. No, I like that. Yeah, it's interesting to hear. And there's been specific examples from other people that I've like stolen, taken. Yeah, but it's the whole like imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. It's like if it's working for them, like why would other people not try it? So I like that. And like what you said, I think like for me, it's mostly social media and referrals and social media because that's who, you know, I'm surrounded by friends and family and stuff is like they're on social media. Well, friends more than family, but all my peers, I guess, are on social media for the most part. So if they're scrolling at 9 or 10 at night, like it's try to put something out there. And like you said too, the top of mind thing, there's been people that are like, oh, did you get like a sale off this one video you did? I'm like, no, but if you go ask that person, you know, a week from now what I do for a living, they're gonna tell you. And that's all that matters. So if there's valuable information and then it's relatable information too, and then keep it quirky and fun and social and you know
let people see your personality a little bit.
Because they don't want to work with a dang near AI robot who's a realtor. It's like, okay, I can connect with them in this way. Like now I kind of earn their trust and vice versa. And it makes that much more of a 30 to 60 to 90-day process a lot more enjoyable for everyone. So and then the referrals part too. I know you mentioned earlier, like before this, about staying in touch with people after the transaction. I feel like that's a lost art of, you know, it's I try to work my referral base as much as possible. Like same thing, I'm not sending Christmas cards, Halloween cards out to people that I've never worked with for the most part. It's all referrals because if it's a past client, like they're the reason why I have my income or past income, obviously. So if I can work with them and earn their trust, and then they're going to refer me to other people, you know, that they know that, you know, I trust and vice versa, then it's a win for everyone. So I think that's a way to go about it. I know, I do Christmas, July 4th, I'll do like flags, like a little flag or something.
Yeah, I like that.
In March, it's just like my one thing I do that's kind of weird, quirky, but funny is I'll get a $1 like lotto scratch off.
I like those.
Like on St. Patrick's Day, and I'll put like a penny in there and say like I'm lucky to be your realtor. And so
I like
no
that.
one's ever won, I think, but like the chances.
But
but it's just like, oh, cool. This is a fun something, and then staying top of mind because a lot of it's like holidays, which are at the end of the year. So what do you do like spring, summertime ish too? So
I like that.
anyways, cool. So the last question, and I like to ask people this too. I know I like to ask about the marketing book of business, but the fun stuff is, do you have any crazy, funny story about a transaction or a client or how you came upon a lead or any crazy story that you have since you've been in the business?
crazy. I'm like, I wish I had a crazy,
Or
nothing.
fun, interesting. Yeah.
I know. I could say one of my favorite stories though, and I say it a lot, like whenever I'm like talking to realtors, because it was meaningful because this like lady was like crying over the phone, literally. And
Mm,
so her and her husband were moving from out of state, and then they were in Pflugerville for a little bit, and then they were wanting to move to Lavernia, and they were originally like using another lender, got straight up denied by that lender, just said
mm,
no. And then they talked to a second lender that they've, I guess, found online. I don't know. And they said that no, like, sorry, you have to do a bank statement loan, which, like, in
mm.
some cases is good, but it's higher interest rate, higher
Well,
down payment. You got to use that underwriter. So it's a little bit more, a little bit extra. And
yeah.
so they finally got in touch with the realtor I work with, and he sent them to me, and they wanted a house literally that day. Like they had to put an offer in. It was like by, I
Mm,
don't know, in the afternoon. And we got a full underwriter approval. We did conventional 5% down, 2-1 buy down on them. And whenever she like heard, especially when their offer got accepted, she was like beyond crying. She owns a
yeah.
boutique. She actually gives me like a really good discount.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and so yeah, it was one of those, and we cleared to close it in 14 days too. And so I try to tell people like how much it like really matters who you work with. And yes, everyone wants to go online to Lending Tree and like let's look at rates and have 14
Rocket mortgage.
online people call you, but it like matters like during times like that, like they would have never gotten the house, they would have never, any of that if I'm not talking to someone who, I hate to say, I don't even want to cuss, but I wanted to say gave a shit.
No, for sure. Yeah. And I think it's different when, and not to knock anyone, who's on this side of things, but when you go to your conventional bank, your Chase, your Wells Fargo, your US bank, anything like that for a loan, that oftentimes, and not all the times, but oftentimes they're not going to answer their phone or email outside of
Right.
9 to 5. They don't, I mean, they don't even give out their cell phone number. If you
Right.
have any questions, it must be answered within that time. And correct me if I'm wrong on this too, but most of them are like mainly just salary with very little commission.
Yeah,
Whereas,
like I work my butt off because I don't get paid till the loan closes. So,
exactly.
and I had
So
a good relationship with that listing agent, which was like I know the listing agent, he would have not wanted a freaking online
deal with that. Yeah. Rocket
pre-approval
mortgage. Yeah.
letter. Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. So no knock to them, but it's different service, and it more times than not, different and better service is going to get the deal done. So
Mhm. Yeah.
we'll shout out to you on that, because that's big time. And yeah, we see it way more times than people think too, like dealing with people that they're just like, I don't care. It's either that, I don't need, the commission, I don't need the business, I don't
I
need
leave
this.
at 5, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, have a good weekend, go
Mhm.
party, whatever you want to do. But it's like, this is in a sense like our livelihood of, if this deal doesn't get done and we don't
My
serve
name's
you
on the
guys
line.
good, then
Yeah.
yeah, living in a box. So yeah, exactly. But no, that's awesome. Um, if you don't mind, I'll tell you my crazy story because it's
Oh
fun.
yeah, I'll ask it. Yeah, yeah. I'll be
Yeah,
like, okay, I
no,
was
you're
like,
good.
now you gotta tell us yeah, your crazy story, your favorite story, or
Yeah, I think mine's more of like, I mean, it turned into a, sale and everything, but the way the lead came about and everything, and then how, I guess, the story of it. So, um, my parents, they live about 10 minutes from me here. And this was like right before COVID or Snowvid hit here, when it
Mhm.
was like COVID, and then obviously like really cold and everything too. But, and there was a freeze and everything. But I was on my way home from the gym looking raggedy. I like picked up some tacos from somewhere, was going over to my parents' house, and this couple was in their car, just car on, hanging out outside of a house that was two doors down from my parents in the cul-de-sac with a for sale sign. And I knew the owners and everything, or the previous owners who were selling. And
Right.
um I I went up to them, like kind of knocked on their door and was like, hey, do y'all want to see the house? Like, this is random. I was like, are y'all waiting for your realtor? She's like, yeah, we called the listing agent. We're kind of waiting for the lockbox code. And it was a Supra. So if anyone knows,
Mhm.
like only agents have access to that. So I was like, okay, like, I don't think you'll be able to get in unless someone's actually here. I was like, I know it doesn't look like it right now. I'm an agent and clearly, you know, it's a weekend not working right now or whatever, but I'm happy to open it up for you and lock up when you're done. And my parents live right here, you know, long story short. So
Yeah.
anyways, they go inside. It's a couple probably like in their 50s. They go inside, they, you know, like the house, but we're just conversing about everything. And they've worked in real estate before, bought and sold before. And I was like, well, let me know if y'all are interested. I can for sure, you know, try to help as much as possible. I know you may have your agents or people you know here and there. They're like, honestly, we don't. We're coming from California. We're just kind of trying to visit open houses and see if we like anything. And so, long story short, followed up with them probably 3 or 4 times.
And you won them over?
Yeah. Well, the
Heck
next
yeah.
day we ended up seeing, well, when I followed up with them, it was more so like after the fact. But anyways, they ended up coming back about a month later-ish. And you know, I'm getting this timeline wrong. When they were there, I followed up with them and we scheduled to see some houses when they were coming back.
Right.
So, which would be in like a month. But while they were there, we just, you know, I sent them some stuff. We talked over the phone, trying to figure stuff out and their timeline out. And it ended up being that they were staying in a hotel by the airport, but the roads got iced over and they didn't want to leave the car there. Long story short, they parked. I had them park the car at my parents' house. Told them if they need anything, we're here. I ended up taking them to the airport because they dropped the rental off, etc. And so about a month later, we found a rental for them. A year later, they ended up buying, and we still, yeah, in touch to this day. But it's crazy. It was just like I was a homeless looking raggedy post gym
Hey, you wanna
taco eater, yeah. And then it's like you just all you got to do is it. And it wasn't me saying like, you know, like, and for yourself too, it's like, hey, here's what I do, but I'm not gonna push like you gotta buy soon, and you gotta, you know, do this and that. And I wasn't like, hey, I'm a realtor, like you're looking to buy, okay, cool, I can help you, like no one else can, I'm the best, blah blah, blah. Like I wasn't doing that. I was like, hey, here's I'm gonna help you out because I see, you know, you're in need, and it just happens to be something real estate related. And
right.
so I feel like that's how it works oftentimes, like not
Yeah.
that extreme of a story, but it's just like, hey, I'm here to help and I have knowledge about this, and if you need a resource, like I'm happy to be
Yeah.
it. So more times than not, if you're pushy enough but less on the pushy side, and just be willing to help someone, like I feel like it's
Yeah. I
So,
like that.
cool.
We're
Yeah,
all
it was so yeah, so funny, so random, but they're awesome people. So yeah, it worked out for everyone.
Mhm.